Okay, before we continue, I am well aware that I have not been uploading as much as I probably should, but we are back. Things have been getting a lot better now, so you guys are, I'm glad that I could finally come back and actually start making videos for you. If it makes you guys feel better, I'm also recording this at midnight on a Sunday. So by the time you get this, I don't know, maybe it'll be like Friday of next week, because these things do take a bit to edit. But I am finally glad to be able to come back and actually give you guys more content. There is more Papa Test on the way, and I'm well aware that maybe like nobody really cares. There's only like 5 people who still like watch my videos, but this is for you. This is for you, those 5 people. But once again, I want to thank you guys for being patient with me. I hope to actually bring you guys more content. This is actually like a consistent thing now. Things are getting a lot better, and I actually already made 2 scripts, so there is a second script that I'll be recording literally right after this, so you're gonna see me in the same exact clothing. But with that, let's get back to it, and once again, thank you guys for your patience. So you know how like every couple of months the internet loses its collective mind over something so cursed you genuinely regret having Wi-Fi? Yeah, this is literally one of those times, and it is the most fucked up viral thing that literally nobody asked for, because like what actually happened is that some 38-year-old dude from Nanjing, China, by the way, put on a brown wig, a surgical mask, and faked a woman's voice and started hooking up with men. See, this is the thing. Normally, it would be kind of funny in like a morbid way, but here's where it's no longer funny. This involved a lot of men, and he recorded every single one of them without telling a single person. And if that wasn't bad enough, he uploaded every single one of those videos online for everybody to see. This also involved over 200 people. And the worst part is that, once again, all of these guys didn't even know that they were recorded until they saw their own face in a leak. Others were outed to friends, families, fiancés, like their entire lives nuked, gone, just reduced to atoms like Thanos, because of one creepy dude who decided that this was his idea of having a good time. Hi, my name is Big Papa Test, and I like to talk about things that I find interesting. If you happen to enjoy the video, then why not give me a like and a sub? It's a small thing for you, but helps me out massively. And while you're at it, why not join the Discord? I'm in there every single day and will love the opportunity to talk to you. And with that, let's get right back into the video. Meet Zhao, the 30-year-old man that is the main character in our story that lives in Nanjing, China. This guy online had more stage names than a washed-up pop star. He had Nanjing Ah Hong, or Red Sister. But the internet eventually settled on calling him Uncle Red, because, well, you'll see why. The crazy part is that if you just stumbled across him in the street back then, you wouldn't even have thought twice. He had this whole disguise nailed. Brown wig, full makeup, dresses, even a carefully practiced voice that could pass as a woman's voice. He didn't even half commit to the bit, which is the worst part. This was a full-time persona, and unfortunately it worked. That was the bait, and the hookup was simple. He'd use a fake identity to meet men, not just 1 or 2. We're talking about a revolving door of strangers over the years. Remember, this involved over 200 different people. There's even this one meme floating around that shows Trump shaking hands with him because of just how big he became in China. Like a former US president met Red. Totally fake, obviously, but that's, that's how the joke went, because obviously I don't think Trump is flying for the United States to go and shake hands with Uncle Red. At least that's what I don't think, what's in the files. They'd meet up thinking that they knew who they were with, and the whole time, Zhao was recording everything without them having the slightest clue, because obviously he had hidden cameras inside of his own room. When I say everything, I mean literally everything. Nothing was taken out of the videos, including the most private parts and the most intimate things. And now, imagine, because at this point in the story, you might even be seeing some of the photos on screen. These guys had no idea. They're just there, completely unaware that this moment would end up archived somewhere online for millions of strangers to see. And so now you know who Uncle Red really is. Let's talk about how he pulled this whole thing off, because the guy didn't just sit around waiting for victims to magically show up at his doorstep. He was basically trying to bait as many people like he was Chris Hansen. No, he had a system. And it was the kind of system that makes you wonder how many times has this happened before without anyone catching on. Most of this phishing, and yeah, that's exactly what it was phishing, happened on Douyin, which, if you somehow missed the memo, is basically TikTok's Chinese twin. And apart from that, he also had a web of online accounts, private chats, and little side channels all feeding into each other. He'd use them to advertise himself that the full red sister disguise, luring in men who thought they were talking to and eventually meeting a real woman. And he wasn't just meeting them in secret. Half of the time, he was live streaming their encounters straight up to a private audience. Imagine thinking you're having this intimate moment with a woman, you're sitting there giving her smooches, you're talking about how much you love her. And by this point, you're not just, this isn't your first, well, this is technically your first time meeting in person, but this is the first time you've spoken to her. You are now walking into believed to be her, a woman, room, and you're doing all these things. When in reality, it's almost like you're starring in the Truman Show. Everybody has their eyes on you and you are none the wiser, which is kind of scary to think for. And if that wasn't enough, he had a premium club running on the side that would pay 150 yuan, which is about 20 US dollars, and you get access to his so-called exclusive content, which, remember when I said everything was recorded? Well, you pay $20 and you gain access to all of that, which is highly illegal. The range of guys he caught on camera was insane. Everyone from ripped gym dudes to button-up office professionals. You could scroll through the gallery and it was like flipping channels between completely different worlds. Except every single person in those clips had one thing in common. Not a single one of them knew that they were being recorded. And also the fact that they all had sex with a literal man without them knowing that it was a man. Oh my god, this is so fucked. And for some of them, it didn't just stay in those private groups. Their faces, their bodies, all of it eventually got back to the people that they know. Friends, families, fiancés, literally the kind of exposure that you do not want came back. And then the whole thing blew wide open. What was once locked behind Uncle Red's little paywall suddenly spilled into the wild. Clips started leaking. At first, it was just a few here and there, passed quietly in certain group chats like, hey, look what I just saw, ha ha he he. But the internet being the internet, it didn't take long before Weibo, Chinese version of Twitter, was absolute drowning in them. And that's when things got messy. People started recognizing faces. Imagine scrolling through your feed and suddenly thinking, wait, isn't that? No way. Even some women spotted their own fiance in some of these videos. Even a kindergarten English teacher was spotted. Within days, panic set in. Girlfriends were checking, wives were checking, people who had no business checking were checking. The group chats went from gossip to full-on detective work, as everyone scrambled to see if their boyfriend, husband, co-worker, I mean, hell, even their own neighbor had been caught in this footage. And all of it because one guy in a wig decided to turn real people's lives into his own private live stream. And just when you thought that this was going to be another one of the internet loses its mind for only a week moments, the health authorities got involved. The Nanjing CDC actually had to step in, which is never a good sign. They put out a public notice saying basically, hey, if you think you were anywhere near this guy, maybe come and get tested. They offered free screenings for STDs, but they didn't confirm if he had anything. Now, the problem is that in China, there's a law that if you knowingly expose people to an STD, you're looking at a minimum 3 to 10 years in prison, right? So suddenly, this wasn't just an online scandal anymore, it was a potential public health emergency. And all of those memes and jokes, yeah, they hit different when you realize the fallout might involve more than just embarrassment. And at that point, it's just a lifelong scar. Then came the actual tech down, July 5th. One of the men sees themselves being leaked and reports it. By July 6th, the police had Jiao in custody. Official charge? Spreading obscene material. They didn't confirm the wild 1,691 victims number of floating around online, but they didn't exactly downplay the scale either. They just had numerous, and honestly, that wasn't enough. These clips from his room, same bed, same closet, same setup, are like a stamp of confirmation. Also, side note, did you know, so I don't think it's in the script, but there's been an update since then. I pretty sure 3 of the people that were involved in it were confirmed to have some type of STD, which means that the 1,691 people, given if that happened somewhere, and I don't know, like at the 500 mark, that means over 1,000 people are now have STDs. So just a little food for thought. The crime scene was basically his bedroom. At first, everyone called him Sister Red. This was the feminine nickname he used online, but women's rights groups pushed back, saying don't associate this guy with femininity. So the name shifted to Uncle Red, which is still not any better. And that's the one that stuck. It turned out into a meme almost instantly. The roasting was nonstop, but behind all the jokes, this wasn't just trolling, this was an entire system of exploitation he'd built and profited from. The worst part? The victims, dozens of men, all exposed without their consent. Some were married, some were engaged, some had a reputation, jobs, families, all of it shattered overnight, immediately. A few reportedly went into hiding, and instead of rallying behind them, the internet did the exact opposite. They became part of the meme cycle. Screenshots turned into reaction images. They became clips were used as punchlines. It's that ugly truth about scandals like this. People don't care if you are violated, they want a laugh. And for the guys in those videos, there was nothing funny about it. And if you zoom out from the chaos for a second, right, you start to see a much uglier, much older problem hiding underneath the whole thing. This scandal didn't happen in a vacuum. China has 30 million more men than women. 30 million. That's an entire population of guys who, statistically speaking, will never have a shot at marriage. Decades of the one-child policy mixed with a cultural performance of 4 sons basically set this up like a ticking time bomb. In rural areas, it's even worse. A lot of men grow up knowing they're probably going to be alone forever. Meanwhile, women are more educated, more independent, and rightfully moving away from those old school get married, stay home expectations. The problem, men are still expected to show up with a house, financial security, and a dowry stuff that many men just can't outright afford. And when that mix of kind of isolation with all those outdated pressures, predators like Uncle Red thrive. Desperation becomes a weapon, and it's not just lust or greed at that point. It's quite literally, it's about knowing someone's lonely enough, desperate enough to walk right into a trap. And the thing that honestly bothers me the most about all of this, little food for thought, this is going off script. The thing that bothers me the most about all of this is that in the beginning, it is a funny story in the beginning. However, once you start looking into it, look at the countless amount of victims, it starts to get very troublesome, I guess. Or maybe that's not even the good word. It starts to become very concerning because there's over 1,600 different victims involved in this. There's so much material. Given the people who had affairs, probably shouldn't be doing that, guy. But regardless, there are victims in this situation. And unfortunately, the internet has decided to just go the route of, haha, this is funny. When in reality, there is countless amount of people that fell victim to this. And unfortunately, that just sucks. It sucks ass. And with that, my name is Big Papa Tess. If you happen to enjoy the video, then why not give me a like and a comment? Also, while you're here, why not consider joining the Discord? I am once again in there every single day, and I would love the opportunity to talk to you. Now, this is normally where I would advertise my Patreon, but considering that I have been inactive for maybe over 2 months now, I don't think anyone's subbing to the Patreon. But you can if you like, if you give me money. Also, shout out to my Patreon Melissa for helping out the channel. Your support means the world, and it helps fund these type of videos. I couldn't do it without you, and you have yourself a blessed day. Take care.